Hey everyone, welcome to this lesson, which is part 2 in a series of lessons all about learning how to play and use power chords. So the first lesson was all about root notes, so that you'd know where to place your power chord on the neck, or alternatively you'd know how to name the chord that you were playing. So in this second lesson we're going to be taking the lead guitar part that you heard me playing at the beginning of the video, and we're going to be using that exercise to help develop the reach between your first finger and your third finger, so you can actually get your fingers into these power chord shapes all over the neck. So once we've got the hang of root notes and moving them from one position to the next to set up our chord changes, we're going to have a look at how we can develop the reach between your first finger and your third finger so that you can actually play these power chord shapes. So in order to do that, we're going to take a look at the lead guitar riff that comes in at the end of that root note section, and that's the part that sounds like this. So to play that pattern, I'm starting off on the A string, so second string down from the top. I'm holding down fret 10 with my first finger, and then I'm playing that note on the A string, and then playing the 12th fret on the D string, which is the string below, and then on the G string, which is the string below that, I'm playing fret 10 followed by fret 12. So that pattern altogether would be 10, 12, 10, 12, and I'm moving from the A string, D string, G string, G string. So that's the pattern that we're going to be using, and that exercise is designed to help develop the reach between your first finger and your third finger. A great way to develop that reach is to use this exercise, starting off somewhere nice and high up the neck on fret 10 in this example, and then gradually working your way down the frets, which means that the pattern is going to get slightly wider every time, until eventually, over a matter of days probably rather than minutes, you're going to be working your way down until you can play it right down on the widest frets on the guitar. So to play this riff in the way that I do in the track, you're going to play through those notes, and we're just playing one single down pick on each beat. So if we're counting in 1, 2, 3, 4, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4 and repeat. And that's it. So to work on that exercise, we're going to have a go at playing along with the backing track using single notes for the first 8 bars. 1 bar is this much. So 8 times round, just playing single notes on each one of those. If you feel like you want to push your picking technique after I've played that riff 8 times round, I then start playing exactly the same thing, but with alternate picking, going down up on each of those 4 notes. And that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you can play the alternate picking version of that riff, then great, go ahead. If you find that too fast at the moment, just stick with the single picks, the single downstroke on each one of those notes, and play through the whole of that section using individual notes. And then work on that alternate picking pattern until you can make that play fast enough and clean enough to play along with the track using alternate picking. So next up is the extended 16-bar backing track. So that's 8 bars of single downstrokes followed by 8 bars of alternate picking. If you can do the alternate picking, if you're not quite up to speed with that, just carry on through the whole backing track, keeping those single down picks going for each one of the notes, and then keep working on that alternate picking technique, because with practice it will come up to speed, you will get there, and you'll be able to play the entire backing track. So here comes the extended backing track. See how you get on. So now we've got the hang of that pattern, we're going to start taking that down the neck, trying it on slightly wider and wider frets, and we're going to be playing that pattern on the frets that we're going to be playing power chords on later in the lesson. So the pattern we're going to use now is not exactly the same as the pattern you were just playing, in that it's going to be on a different string set. So we're actually using the strings E, A and D, the three thickest strings on your guitar, which means the pattern is going to be 9th fret, as we're going to start on the 9th fret, 9th fret on the low E string, 11th fret on the A string, followed by 9, 11 on the D string, which will give us a sound like this. So the finger movements are exactly the same as what you were doing before, you're just starting on a thicker string. And hopefully on fret 9, that's not much more difficult than what you were playing just a moment ago on fret 10. So we'll have a go at playing that pattern round twice on fret 9 after 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. So pretty easy stuff, hopefully, so far. Just before we move on to the next fret, we're going to try and play the first note of that pattern and the second note of that pattern at the same time. So can your fingers push down both of those strings at the same time, and then give those two strings a little strum, and now we're playing power chords. So then we're going to take that idea down the neck, following the frets that we're going to be using later on in the lesson. So the next one is going to be on fret 8, same strings, same pattern after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8, 10, 8, 10. And then just like last time, we're going to see if we can hold down the first note of that pattern and the second note of that pattern at the same time. Get your fingertips to push those strings down nice and firmly. Give that a strum. And that's another power chord. Okay, so now we're moving down to fret 6. We're going to do exactly the same thing. So after 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to take the first note of the pattern, the second note of the pattern, put them together, hold the strings down at the same time, give that a strum, and that's another power chord. Starting to feel a little wider now, the frets are getting a bit bigger, but hopefully the reach isn't too bad just yet. So the next thing is to move the same thing down to fret 4. So after 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then try and play the first and second note of the pattern together. That's a power chord. The power chord's getting pretty wide now. Hopefully your fingers are still stretching and you're keeping up with this. We're going to move that down one more time to fret 3. So a pretty wide set of frets now. We're going to give that a go after 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, as ever, try and play the power chord shape from the first and second note of that pattern. And that's the first power chord of our song when we start putting these in order later. The last one of these is way down on fret 1. So stretching your fingers between fret 1 and fret 3 is pretty much the widest shape that you're going to need for any power chord you play. And it is pretty wide. So it starts off having a go at the pattern, moving between those notes. After 4, we'll try it twice around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and hopefully you're able to play that nice and clean and the stretch isn't feeling too bad. If when you play the pattern down there on fret 1, it just doesn't come out clean and you're having to move your hand a lot to get between the notes, just move back up to some of the higher frets. Try and find the lowest fret that you can play this exercise really cleanly and make it sound really good, and then practice it there for a bit, and then come back to the same exercise the following day and see if you can play it 1 fret lower and work your way down day by day. It is much more effective if you get everything sounding super clean and work your way down over a matter of days, rather than trying to get way down to fret 1 by the end of this video, for example, and not playing it cleanly. Give yourself some time on this exercise, a chance to build up to get this technique sounding really good until you can play the exercise on fret 1 really cleanly. Once you can do that, you then want to try and see if you can hold down fret 1 on the low E, fret 3 on the A, and play that power chord. And get that ringing out nice and clean as well. If you can do that, then power chords are well on their way to being mastered.